Anti-Afro Svengalis, this is just a brief intro to let you know this is a repost video. Crybaby Derell Dumpsy is sending a privacy and copyright strikes to YouTube. YouTube says I can appeal the privacy complaint, and I decided to repost the video with some enhanced and improved shots for you to check out. Make sure you keep watch on the screen so you can see what comes up. I just enhanced the information, and I'll be sure to send it out all over creation this time so more people can see it. None of the audio is changed, so be sure not to touch that dial after you hear buyer beware.
The issue with Tyrone?
Why would I have an issue with Tyrone? Very confused.
Your boyfriend? I mean, let's be clear. You got mugshots too.
Like, I got a mugshot.
I'm saying
he's in prison.
you should not judge people.
And I've been to prison. Please don't come for me about a mugshot. Getting locked up and bonding out ain't the same thing as going to a judge getting 10 or 20 years, okay?
Candy told me the conversation.
Nene said he was a con artist.
This is my life. I can do what I want.
I would never tell you that you couldn't be with him, Sheree. I never said that. This man is really in prison for like 1,000,000 years for doing some con stuff, and you over here talking to me about an arrest. Why would you say that? That's crazy, Sheree.
Anti-Afro Svengalis. I had to play this clip at the beginning. It just tells you this extent subjects will go to try to pull you in something that has really nothing to do with you, or it's not comparable. Somebody getting arrested for a freaking misdemeanor that's dropped versus someone who is engaged in extensive fraud and scamming schemes. I had to go look up this dude because I don't know how I idea who this dude is. I saw his name, said he was arrested. He was all kinds of skill. Oh my goodness, a disaster. He had 10 years in prison. And you're going to compare this to someone who has a freaking mugshot and got arrested for a misdemeanor. But this is what they try to do in that Umar Johnson sector too. They're trying to make us criminals when they are the ones constantly violating each and every law they can think of. I know that many times we talked about how Dempsey Derell stole Medicaid funds even before he got nabbed by the feds and is now facing this 9-count indictment, 5 counts of healthcare fraud and 4 counts of aggravated identity theft. What I'm going to do, I'm going to show you the actual form that was completed to steal the money. Before I show you the form, I want to show you the rates. Keep in mind, these are rates for Medicaid, which is called Medi-Cal here in California. This is the rate that we get paid for providing these services. These rates are not the same rates as an insurance company would pay us. Government funds, you'll get less. So insurance companies, depending on who they are, they're going to pay more. How much more? It just depends on the insurance company. But you can take a look here. This wouldn't be all of the codes. I think this is most of the codes because there was an update recently. But there's a whole list of codes that we use here in the state. Actually, these codes are universal, but the rates are not universal. These rates vary not only by county within individual states, they vary by states. So the rate here in California in San Diego County isn't necessarily going to be the same rate in Harris County, Texas, where Dempsey Derell was ripping everybody off. And they change ever so often. So you'll see here, looking at the screen, what therapists, mental health professionals get paid to provide therapy services, individual counseling, group therapy, collaboration, phone calls. Here it is, folks. I think this is most of the codes. Not all, but most. Since I'm going to have it on the screen, I'm dividing it into 2 parts. It's a single form. It's this form right here. It's the CMS 1500. This is the form that every provider in the United States uses to submit for reimbursement on services provided through Medicaid, Medicare, or any other designated government-funded program that provides health, which is inclusive of mental health in all specialty services, including durable medical equipment, wheelchairs, walkers, braces, anything that's physically attached to the body. These all have to be submitted on this claim form. This form is electronic. This form also exists in hard copy form. The sections of the form that any provider or agency fills out depends on what services are being provided. Physical therapists are going to complete some sections of the form that mental health professionals won't complete, and vice versa. But what everybody needs to make sure is accurate is who received the services or who received the durable medical equipment like a wheelchair, a walker, breathing devices, that sort of thing. You have to be specific about who you are providing services to or who received the equipment. So for each one of these forms, as you see here, one person appears. You do not combine people. What also must be clear and unequivocal is who is the professional who provided the services or delivered the equipment. Who is the primary person providing the services? It has to be designated on the form. It doesn't matter who fills the form out. It just has to be accurate as to who received the services or equipment and who provided those services or provided that equipment. So look here, and of course, these names are fictitious. The account numbers are fictitious. If you look online, you'll see replicas of these numbers, these sequences. So that confirms that they're phony. These are not real account numbers. So if you look here at the form, you see the name of the individual. Power is the last name. Ranger is the first name. Obviously, this is a fictitious person. So you would also put the date of birth. And as you see here, this is a male, 12 years old. So if you go over to line 1A, this is where you put the first 9 digits of the Medicaid number. In this state, it's called Medi-Cal. You don't put the entire number, and you don't put Social Security numbers. We no longer use Social Security numbers for services. You might see some areas where it's being requested, but we do not fill it out. You have to have the gender, you have to have the birth date correct. And this matches up with the Medicaid ID. If anything up here is inaccurate, the billing is going to be kicked back. You got to have the Medicaid number matching the name of the person, matching the birth date. So once you get that correct, you still need to fill out certain portions of this form. So if you come down to, you see the phone number and address, go down to letter D. This is where you put in what agency is authorizing these funds to be used. Now I'm just putting 2 potential examples. Child welfare services. This happens when a family doesn't have any sort of coverage. They could be eligible for Medi-Cal or Medicaid, but they haven't filled out the form or it's lapsed. So in this instance, child welfare services, CPS, will pay for the treatment, but they're going to go to the feds and get reimbursed. So you will put down that agency, or you'll put down Medi-Cal. Again, there are other possibilities. I'm just giving you 2 examples. So line 12 is where the provider, the person providing the services, will sign their name and the date. If you look on the other side here, it says signature, but for mental health professionals, we don't sign the other side. We only sign this side of the form where you see the name and the address and phone number. Now I'm showing you again the entire form. Before I go to the second half of the form, remember this is one whole form. I'm just showing it to you. So you'll see 21. This is where you have to put in what's called an ICD-10 code. ICD means International Classification of Diseases. The ICD-10 code corresponds to a diagnosis, but it is not the DSM-5 diagnostic code. If you submit the DSM-5 diagnostic code, the claim is going to be kicked back. Now, if you just happen to make one mistake, but the rest of the claim is correct, they're going to pay you on the claim that is correct with all the information that's accurate. So F34.0 is cyclothymic disorder. You don't write it down, you just put the code. And for those who are not aware, cyclothymic disorder is the lesser severe of the bipolar type disorders, although it's not called bipolar. The symptoms are not as extreme, but they are significant. F41.9 is unspecified anxiety disorder. This is an initial contact. You have 30 days to formulate a diagnosis where you would be gathering additional information that you didn't get before the person comes to see you. And you have to complete an assessment within 30 days. And during that time, you will make a determination or an assessment as to the diagnosis. Now, the diagnosis or diagnoses can always change. So what's relevant about the assessment is when you get audited, they're going to see whether or not you completed this assessment within the 30 days. So it's very important to make sure you know all the timelines that are essential for you to meet. Although nobody's looking in on you, remember it's the honor system. How did Dempsey D. Derell do with the honor system? Badly, because he was nabbed for not keeping records up. There was no motivation to keep records up because he was stealing the money. Diagnosis. Whatever you do, it has to match in the corresponding dates that you provided care. Both have to appear on the next lines or they're going to kick back your claim. So you see here, 10/15/2025, they make you write the date twice, confirming this is a date you actually provided services from start to finish. It's on one day. So you see the initial assessment, the first time there was contact, and that is always in my field of study with the parent. I don't ever see children the first time by themselves. I always see the parent or legal guardian. Never the first time do I see kids because I can't get the information that I need if the minor is there. So the initial assessment, and as you see here, it's $180 for a 60-minute session. This is Medicaid funding. This is government funding. So you'll see here the second session, the code 90837 is an individual session for 60 minutes. You see up here, you don't have to put it in sequential order as long as it appears on the line. I have it on line E. It doesn't matter as long as it appears. The third service was on 10/29, the same day, and it was a phone call. And if you see the term SC, this is a modifier on treatment team. It's not in person, it was a phone call. So this is what's called a modifier, and you have the codes that you have to follow. So for each entry that you make, you have to give the rate, and then you go over, and this is the rendering provider number. This is where you need to make sure you're listening very carefully. You have to enter your NPI number. This is when Dempsey D. Derell stole someone's identity. He put in someone else's NPI. Now, this is a working NPI number. He couldn't have made the mistake just, oh my God, I put this in by accident. You have to put the NPI number on for every single service that you provide. Backing up just a little bit. The number 1 means the service was in the office. If you go down to 25, where it says either SSN, Social Security number, or EIN, which is Employee Identification Number, you can use either one. This is how they report to the IRS that you got paid. You have to put a Social Security number or an EIN number. I have all zeros here. So again, he had to have known this information in order to get paid. He knew the person's social security number and he knew their NPI number. He took these numbers, he entered them on this form, and what did he do? He came down and signed his name. You are required to sign your name. Move over. You see the honest therapist. That is the name of the person. Then you have the address, which is a phony address. And then the billing. Where's the billing address? Same thing, honest therapist. You got to give a phone number. If any area on this form is filled out incorrectly or it doesn't match the person receiving the services or the provider, the therapist, the counselor, whoever it is, if it doesn't match up with their information and the person you're providing services to, this is kicked back. So this is the reason why he can't say this was an accident. Don't forget, people, when he was first nabbed, $8,000 worth of services. You're trying to tell me that was a mistake? No, it was not a mistake. The client said, no, we didn't receive those services. Or they put it in terms as, there is an agreement that we had these services. So Dumpsy D. Derell is claiming he provided the services, and the clients are saying they did not receive the services. And that is something that the U.S. attorney best believe will work out with testimony, with affidavits, and it's going to be up to the trier of fact to determine who has credibility. But then we got another problem. 2017, 2018. Look at the bottom half of this form. All of these dates here, he puts in another provider's NPI. How do you explain that multiple times? This situation here, I'm just entering 3 services. $8,000 worth of services were entered. Look, people, I'm just giving this as an example. So how did this information get transmitted to Medicaid for payment request? They hit the send button. They filled out this form and hit the send button, and a check was generated, and they sent it out. Medicaid is the only service agency that sends hard checks still. Everybody else is electronic. So he received those checks. I bet you he was sleeping at that office waiting for those checks. I guarantee you he was hovering day and night, intercepting those checks. He knew those checks were going to be deposited in a joint account. This is when he was stealing, and he went right back in and got that money. They didn't even know those checks were coming in their name. He was stealing that money out of joint accounts, business accounts, and he was depositing it in his account. So you see the extent that one has to go to rip off the government. You have to sit down and actually fill out a form and sign your name. How are you getting out of that? Where's the defense on that? He's going to tell who that this is someone else's fault? And he's taking responsibility because it's my office. Bullshit. If he didn't fill out the form and he didn't tell them that he provided these services, then someone else is guilty. Where is his defense? Is he going to take this to trial? If he's going to take it to trial, he should know. He should be able to prove that someone did this. He should be able to prove that he wasn't in the office. Aren't there cameras at that office? I didn't even go in that day. He lied. Listen, folks. He lied so many times. What role did Latashia have in this? Did she have access to the system? Did he throw her under the bus? I told you in the other video, I'm sure she threw his ass under the bus. No way in hell is somebody going to sit in a federal prison if somebody else hijacked their business function and submitted false billing. And if it happened, why didn't he notify the authorities when he saw that it happened? He took those checks and deposited those checks and took the money out before anyone ever noticed it. He used all kinds of methods to steal. This was just one of the methods. But I wanted to come on here to show you the form and the process by which Dempsey D. Derell actually stole money from Medicaid, from clients. He hijacked their services, and from other counselors who had no idea he was using their NPI code to get money. He made it seem that they were providing services they never provided. He's the one who filled it out. It's easy to see in the computer who logged on. It's very easy, people, to see all of this. This has to be part of the voluminous amount of information the defense attorney has. So now that you see the form, now you see how he stole, now you see that he was dedicated, that was his number one priority, was to fill out Medicaid forms that were falsified and send them in and get payment. And he got busted doing it like he should have been. This deserves prison time, especially if you have an attorney who says he has a voluminous amount of discovery and he needs at least 90 additional days to plow through it and talk to Dumpsy D. Derell about it. And I'm sure he's going to get up in his ass and say, you never told me this, and this, A to Z. Oh, of course, folks, I got much more coming your way. In the meantime, buyer beware.